Okay, I'm Milt Heflin. Do I need to spell that, or is it
That's
good enough?
fine.
Milt Heflin. I've worked for NASA for 47 years, 1966 to 2013. Many different jobs. Very long story short, water recovery of Apollo. I was a recovery engineer. Then I learned how to work in mission control as a flight controller and a flight director. And after I did 20 space shuttle flights as a flight director. And after that, somebody wanted to kick me up into management, and I really didn't have much fun after that.
That's usually the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the first one. So when's the first time that you saw, touched, or used a computer?
Oh, back in, well, okay, so can I count?
Any way you want.
So in 1962 or 63 with punch cards, okay, will you count that as a computer?
Absolutely.
Hated it.
Yeah?
Hated it. That was my start with any kind of operation like that, using punch cards.
Do you remember where it was at?
Central State College in Oklahoma, now the University of Central Oklahoma. And I had to build my own deck of cards on something program where, oh God, I hated it.
Okay, so when's the first time that you actually owned a computer, and how did you get it?
Owned a computer, oh geez, it must have been somewhere in the well, maybe you can help me. Maybe you can help me out. When did we? Okay, so at NASA, Johnson Space Center, we had these computers, and they used to use the old printed, the pages of printouts or whatever.
Right. Right.
And if you can give me sometime after, I don't know what year that was, but sometime after that, I actually ended up owning a computer at home. But it was much longer than the time that I used a computer at work.
So you used one at work before you actually got one at home? Huh?
Yes, I did.
Wow, and you know, a lot of times, I mean, now we kind of see a role reversal. People will have a computer, and then they actually have to use it at work.
Well, for me, it was the opposite. I had to learn it back in those days when it was in its rudimentary stage, I guess I would say, and yeah, I did.
Okay, so this is a little bit deeper here.
Uh-oh.
So how have computers changed your life?
Oh, how have computers changed my life? I think we are too connected. I mean, and it's caused me, I worry much more about me, my family, my location, the world than I ever did. And I have to say that I think a lot of it has to do with we are just too damn connected today by the computer IT world.
I understand. There's like no breathing room.
When I get frustrated with some things along these lines, I say, well, I was an amateur radio operator, ham radio operator since 1957. I can still send and receive Morse code. And that was slower than this. And there's so little time today in this computer age, this IT age, for us to have any editorialship, anybody kind of looking over us to help us be sure that we don't do something stupid. I mean, you can just do anything you want to, and to me today, I am worried. I am very careful today because I am worried about. I can say something that can be as simple as honest as it can be, and it really doesn't mean a whole lot, but it's going to turn somebody in a direction to where I could lose a lot just because I said something that and it was taken in the wrong way, and it can get out of control.
Absolutely.
We are too connected. TOO, too connected.
So that kind of goes hand in hand with my next question. What did you not see coming? The fact that we would be this connected, or?
Oh, well, no, I never saw that coming.
See, when I first started with computers, it was my encyclopedia. I'd look stuff up.
Now, by the way, that is the great part of it.
You can find anything.
It is a great part of it. I mean, I like that, and I've used it a lot. I just don't like the speed of communication today.
It's too much before, like you said, it's edited or there's no thought process that goes into writing that book, right? Because it's just quick chat online, just dump it on there.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure I'm sure it's ruined a lot of lives.
It definitely has. Well, here's my last one for you. What do you expect from future technology?
Oh God. Oh, boy, that's really a good question. I don't expect it's going to change anytime soon.
No.
So what worries me is what may happen because it doesn't change anytime soon. Do you get what I'm saying?
If it stays down the same path.
Yes. I mean, I don't see it getting any better from how we as human beings on this planet live together and work together for the good of humanity on this planet. I don't see that. And so oftentimes when something changes, it changes because something really bad and ugly occurred.
Right.
Really bad and ugly occurred.
Yeah.
That's what worries me.
It's going to have to take something bad and ugly to occur.
And I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there. I don't want my kids and grandkids to be there. But I worry that can happen. It can happen. I'm worried that it can happen before I'm gone, and I certainly am really concerned about my kids and my grandkids because they're probably going to be around when that happens. I may not be, so I won't suffer through it, but they will, and it's going to be bad.
I hear you. So definitely good answers, Milt. I appreciate the hell out of it. Do you mind introducing yourself one more time?
My name is Milt, M-I-L-T, Heflin, H-E-F-L-I-N. I'm in Houston, Texas, and I worked for NASA for 47 years.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah. So I was here. I came here because I was a co-author of a book, Go Flight, The Unsung Heroes of Mission Control. Now, I was a co-author, but I worked for NASA. This is after I retired from NASA.
Right.
The author is Rick Houston in Yadkinville, North Carolina. There's a long story here. So, nonetheless, so we published the book. It was about the Go Flight, the Unsung Heroes in Mission Control from 1965 to 1992. So focused on the control room in Houston that did all of the lunar landings, plus other missions. But it was the only room that was used for the lunar landing. So. The Apollo portion of our book, the lunar landing parts, was made into a documentary, which was showed here last year.
Right.
At Spacefest, the Mission Control the Unsung Heroes of Apollo. So that's how this all got started.
Yeah. And it's and a lot of people go, oh, look at the astronaut, look at the astronaut. There's 100,000 people behind that astronaut, right? To get him that far.
And you know what's really cool is the fact that the astronauts know that.
Oh yeah.
They know
they
that,
respect the heck
and they
out of it.
respect that, and so I think that's why the team has worked so well over the years. I mean, there will be friction occasionally as you're building up on a flight and so forth, but it all started back in the Mercury days and Gemini days, and most of the time. Well, all the time back in those days, all of the men at that time, no women.
Right.
Thank God we have women in the program today. But at that time, these were all military guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and now you got to be a scientist.
And well, they're all military guys. But one point I will make is that in the military, there's a lot of discipline. There's a lot of discipline on command and control. And I think these people that came in the program with that kind of discipline helped establish. We're going to have discipline in the way we go do this from a flight operations standpoint.
That makes a heck of a lot of sense, and it really helped organize it because, I was in the military not for very long, but I know that your buttons need to be buttoned this way and this needs to be folded that way, and there's a reason for it. It's because somebody learned that, and when you get it all exactly right, then you learn from your mistakes, and then you make it so that you don't make that mistake again.
So, when I speak, I don't do this all the time, but quite often I end up asking my audience, how many of you are veterans in the audience? And I'll get a show of hands. I say, well, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And I must tell you, I did not serve in any of our armed forces. But when I went to work for NASA in 1966, and where I worked, and I told them where I worked, I was totally involved with Navy, Marines, and Air Force in the recovery operations of Apollo. So from that, I learned about discipline. I learned about command and control, which was really important.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I feel like, even though I didn't serve in the military, at least I got some of that feeling as to how they go about accomplishing their mission. And you see a lot of that in NASA, not just back then, but even today, with even the young men and women that come into this business. The ones that want to come into this business today, they have the fire in the belly.
Yeah.
And Chris Kraft, the very first flight director in this business, the guy that invented this business, he and I were having a conversation years ago, and I was trying to tell him that I was going to try to tell him, hey, Dr. Kraft, the men and women that come in this business, they're just as good as, and I was going to say just as good as you are, and we were back then. And he stopped me. He said, Milt, no, they're a hell of a lot better than we are because they got the fire in the belly, and they've got the tools that we did not have.
Yeah. Yeah, they get the tools and the training too.
And the training, yeah.